welcome, Nigel, to MovieWeb. I've got to say, I've never been such a just devoted fan to a movie series in a long time, and I haven't missed an episode yet. And you have episode 9 coming out, and it's coming out for Halloween. Is this the first time you've done a Halloween release? And is that something you're kind of celebrating there at your house?
Well, first of all, I'm glad this is your favorite series, but I have to ask a question. How many series have you watched?
In
That's
total,
a joke.
Let's see. I watched this over Fast and Furious.
Oh, okay. Well, then,
better than Fast and the Furious franchise.
The original Bad Ben was released the first week in October. And then prior to the pandemic, I was releasing about 2 a year, one in October and typically one in the spring. And I did that for the first couple of years until this little thing called a pandemic came along.
But you managed to keep it going during the pandemic.
Right. I had planned on shooting a different film, but of course you didn't know where this was going. There was no vaccine yet. There was you didn't want to get together with a group of people. So the fans of this series, and nobody's more shocked by the cult following of this series than I am. And the fans of the series, I asked them, how would you like to be in the film? And I said, if you have the ability to record your own segments, I'll put them together in a film. We'll call it Bad Ben Pandemic. You'll be coming to me for advice on whether what you're experiencing is paranormal or related to the pandemic. We'll make it look like it's a Skype chat or a Zoom chat, and we'll put it together. And the response was overwhelming. And I actually had 35 fans shoot their own segments, and they did a really good job in doing it.
Now,
oh, sorry, go ahead, Paul.
No, you go ahead, Sean.
I just, I'd like to hear a little more about what inspired you to do this, because the one thing, I mean, for lack of a better term, the one thing I think that keeps, once you get the series, once you start going hold on, and get into it, there's a lot of heart in the series. There's a lot, you've invested a lot in this. What prompted you to make the first movie?
Well, I had been an aspiring screenwriter, I would say, for a decade. But it's a very tough business to break into if you're not somebody's son, or you don't have somebody in the industry. So I was making small market television commercials for Comcast as an independent contractor, and I owned all this camera equipment. And people used to say to me, hey, you're trying to make films. You got all this camera equipment. Why don't you make your own film? But the problem with that is just because you own a camera doesn't mean you can make Avatar. So what I did was I reverse engineered it. I said, what kind of film can I make with the equipment I have? And that's when I said, I can make a film that's supposed to look like it's been shot on prosumer cameras or consumer cameras. And those films are found footage films like Blair Witch Project and Paranormal Activity. But originally, I had no plan or intention of being in the first film. As the date approached for the film, and let me back up just 1 second, how we got into the surveillance camera aspect of the films being shot was I had been the sole caregiver of my mother for 10 years until she passed away peacefully in 2013. And I put up cameras in the house so that even though I was almost always in the house, but I could keep an eye on her and the health aides taking care of her and just make sure everything's okay. So at night when I would put her to bed, I would sometimes look at the cameras and I say, what would be scary would be if something walked across that screen right now. So I always had that idea in mind. So the plan was I was hiring 6 actors, and it was going to be a female lead. And she was going to be home alone because her parents were away, college-age female. And she would have her boyfriend over and 2 more couples. And one by one, they would disappear. Typical found footage type film, not super original. Well, one by one, as we're approaching the shoot date in May of 2016, the actors were dropping out. Now, I want to say that not all indie films pay the performers. People do it just to get, something for their reel. But I actually was paying these people, and they one by one they dropped out. So I wound up. All I had left was the female lead, and I'm driving home on a rainy day in May on Thursday, and we were supposed to start shooting that Saturday. I get a text from the female lead that says, "Moving to LA, can't be in your film. Sorry, good luck."
Oh.
So I look at the phone, I say, I don't know if cursing's okay here or not.
Oh, go for
It's
it.
fine.
Okay. So I look at my phone, I say, shit, I give up. And I drop the phone in the passenger seat of my car, drive for about another 15 seconds, and then I scoop up the phone and I start filming myself. I don't recommend you film yourself while driving, by the way. But I start filming myself and I say, well, here I am on my way home from settlement at the house I bought at a sheriff's sale on Steelmanville Road. And I pulled into the driveway of my house, which is a question a lot of people have. Is that actually your house? And it is. And I pull into the driveway and I flip the camera around and I show the house. And I say, not bad for a sheriff's sale. Well, that decision I made from going from being told, my last actor is gone, to start filming myself actually became in one take the opening to my movie. And then the thought crossed my mind, who's going to want to see a bald, fat, 50-year-old guy running around his house, getting the crap beat out of him by demons and ghosts and all? So I figured, what did I have to lose? And the beauty about being the only actor, which again was not my intention, but the beauty about being the only actor filming in your own house is that I could come up with an idea at 2 a.m., get out of bed and film it. And that's a lot of what happened here. There was no real script. How the film was put together is I shot that opening scene, and then I shot the ending where I got pulled down the stairs and drugged through this room that I'm in. And I then connected point A to point B with a series of different, different scenes that happen. And I honestly thought I was making a horror film. Once the film came out and people started commenting on it and reviewing it, I found out that people found it scary, but they found it comical also. So I embraced that eventually, come the third film.
Well, does this actress that skipped out on the first movie have any regrets about missing out on what is becoming one of the biggest cult franchises around?
I put an ad on Mandy.com, a website in New York City, New York City is about 2 hours from here. I didn't know the person before I hired her sight unseen, and I have not talked to her since. So I'm not a spiteful person. Well, that's bullshit. I am really, but I don't know if she knows or not. I haven't been spiteful enough to contact her and say, hey, have you seen the Bad Ben series? By the way, it's streamed over 150 million minutes, which was a complete shock to me also.
Well, now I want to know, going into 9, the title is Benign, which I know rhymes with 9, but it also kind of gives me this hint that you've realized you're living in a house with a tumor that maybe isn't going to kill you. Is that kind of the path you walk down with this title?
Well, as you know, benign is a play on words. It's Bad Ben 9. You take away bad and it's Ben 9. So it's benign. And benign being the opposite of malignant, but it's not the only. If you look up synonyms, you're going to find that benign can also mean whimsical. So I was trying to, you would not believe how many online synonym sites I looked up to try to find something that would fit, but it does mean what you suggest, that it's only not going to kill me, but it also means that it's somewhat whimsical. And people, it's pretty fun to see when people realize benign stands for Ben 9, and they just think that's genius. And
it is. Now, I wasn't even thinking that when you said that. I mean, I was thinking benign rhymes with 9, but now that I see the entire title, talking about you're in the movie by yourself. This is another movie, just from watching the trailer, which is all I've seen yet of 9. You look like you're in it again by yourself. Is that because of the pandemic still happening, or is this?
I have an assistant that plays a couple roles in the movie, a couple of the characters I'm dealing with. And he, first thing when I asked him, he managed to point out that he's been vaccinated. So I did work with one other person. But yeah, the reason why I haven't gotten a group together yet, well, for that film in particular, was because a lot of people want to think this thing's over, and it's not yet. I think it's going to take us through another season, and by next summer, hopefully everything's back as close to normal as it's going to be for the rest of my life anyway. how would me or Sean, and I know Sean wants to ask you this question also, go about what's the word I'm looking for? Come in and give us a performance that makes you say, hey, I want to put Sean in the movie.
Yeah.
Is that something that happens?
A fat checkbook.
A fat checkbook. How much money are you looking for?
No, I actually have had people that have asked me, and that's why I did Pandemic the way I did, to allow people that wanted to be in to be in. I have offered opportunities where, like in Benign, you're going to hear me say in 2 different instances a name, and I say about I'm reading a book written by John Smith, say for instance, and John Smith is a fan that paid to have his name mentioned in the film. So I do offer opportunities for people to be in. I've also offered like in the Haunted Highway, which was one of my favorite of the series to film. At least one of the characters that, when I'm looking at the app, you remember there's an app I use called Drop You Off.
Oh yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
It's supposed to be a play on Uber, obviously, and Lyft, but I have that app, and one of those people paid to have her picture in the film. And basically, when I say pay, I don't charge an arm and a leg, but it helps support the production of these obviously gigantic budget films I do. And there was also, if you remember, the film prior to The Haunted Highway was called The Way In. I walk up to the front door and answer the phone, which everybody asks me what that phone is for. And I answer the phone, and I'm talking to an Emily May. She was another Benite who paid to have her name said out loud in the film. As far as other people being in the film that are fans and all, so far I haven't done that, because I got to tell you, the toughest films for me to make have been the ones where I involve other people.
Right.
Because scheduling is difficult. Now, if somebody was making an ungodly amount of money to be in the film, obviously they would arrange their schedule to be here. But the other thing too is the pace at which I shoot. I don't like set up and shoot 8 hours a day. I typically will shoot an hour or 2 a night as I'm putting these together. And if you have somebody coming from out of the area, it's difficult to have them present for the length of time it takes you to get the film done, for them to alter their lives to be involved. So thus far, I haven't really involved anybody that I don't know. It's not saying it won't be a possibility in the future.
Great. I was in Egg Harbor Township for work not too long ago. I was working on a television show that was shooting there, and I actually drove down Steelmanville Road until I found your house and took a picture.
You'd be surprised how often that happens. Lately. In the past, because I actually do have cameras outside.
Yeah.
While we've been sitting here, my phone started blinking, and that's because the motion sensors were going off, because the mail delivery just came. And I was sitting out front one day replacing the mulch that's along my driveway, and I looked about as shitty as you could look, covered in sweat, sitting there. and I see a car go by real slow. And I said to somebody I had working on the front porch, I said, that's a Benite. He says, get out of here. I said, nope, that's the fan of the film. You watch. And a second later, the car turned around and they pulled in the driveway. And I waved them over and they were like all excited. And because, look, I by no means consider myself some big actor, but in a lot of people's experiences, I might be the biggest actor they've ever met. So this group gets out of the car, and this was so enjoyable. They all had on t-shirts they made reference the Bad Ben movie. Like someone had Not Your Home on their shirt. They had a 2-year-old who had a t-shirt that said Good Ben on it. And, they just stopped by the house, and they were on their way to Wildwood, and they stopped by just on the chance they'd run into me. Well, they did run into me. We took some pictures, but everybody that stopped by has been polite. The one thing I don't do is give tours of the house because that just gets a little weird.
Did you have trick-or-treaters coming out to the house?
In 21 years of living here, I've only had the doorbell ring once for Halloween, and it was 2 little girls, and they were sisters with their father. And when they come up to the front door, I open the door and I say, you guys hit pay dirt. You're the first trick-or-treaters I've ever had. And I was loading them up with candy. And their father says to me, we're here because we found out, or we were recommended to come here by your drug dealer. And I looked at him, I'm like, by my drug dealer? Well, as it turns out, my pharmacist, the pharmacy I go to, a local Walgreens, I told the pharmacist, I said, whoever comes to my house trick-or-treating is going to get all this candy because I can't eat it. And she told her husband, and of course she had my address. So her husband brought her kids there. But in 21 years, that's the only time I've ever had a trick. Last year in the driveway, I put a table with a bowl of candy and a sign that said, take whatever you want. And nobody even pulled in.
Maybe that's sad. Maybe some Benites will start coming to your house for Halloween.
Well, don't necessarily encourage it, because I was going to go light this year. But well, you know what it is too? We're not in a development, and there's developments all around us. So for somebody to stop at my house, get out, get their candy, and go on is not as efficient as if they went down to a development and they could hit 5 houses in the time but I give out full-size candy bars, not that little bullshit.
I want to know, in the house, have you ever actually experienced any supernatural occurrences?
Just now. What was that? No, I'm kidding.
What was it? I don't know.
No, but one time, and it wasn't during a filming, I was sitting in the living room and there was this loud, unexplained pop in the kitchen. It's similar to what you would have if you ever had a plug blow up in a house, something, but nothing was blew up. I will tell you though, it's creepy as hell out here at night. I am in the woods, like the film shows, and out here, like this time of year, the walnuts are falling off of trees. So you hear all this stuff outside. So I'm kind of a chicken shit, and I'm not out there a lot at night. Plus I can park my car in the garage, so I don't have to walk to the car if I'm going out at night. I get in the car, lock the doors, then open the garage and drive out. But no, I have not experienced anything paranormal in this house. I have been told by a lot of the fans some of the stuff that has made my skin crawl.
I want to know, I know a lot of filmmakers are kind of precious with their budget and don't want to express how much a movie costs to make. But
I'll tell you.
Well, this, before you tell us, I want to know, if somebody came to you and said, hey, I want to give you $2 million to make a big budget bin movie, would you stop them and go, no, I think I would rather make 9 more of these than one big, huge blockbuster bin movie?
That has a 2-part answer, I think. The first part being, I do believe that at some point down the road, somebody is going to get wise to the cult following this has and want to remake it as a movie with a bigger budget. But too big, the charm to this series has been the amateurish look it has to it. So if somebody came to offer me $2 million to make a bigger budget film, I'd tell them, okay, well, I'm going to accept the $1.999 thousand as a paycheck, and I'll use what's left to make a film, because it really, like I said, I believe that one day somebody is going to want to take and redo this, combining some of the episodes into one. But the charm to these films is the look they have as it is now.
Well, I mean, they couldn't do that without you either. It's not like we could have another actor come in and like Matt Damon's going to put on the hat and glasses and come in and do this.
Matt Damon's not good looking enough.
Matt
Matt Damon's not good looking enough. We need somebody like a Brad Pitt or a Chris Evans, somebody like that. But
well, Brad Pitt, I don't think has your charisma. First of all, I mean, Chris Evans maybe, but I mean, it's going to take somebody really special to replace you in these movies. So, I mean, even if somebody came to you with a contract, I think you would have to have it in there that you're in the movie. I'm being serious.
You never. I don't consider myself an actor, to be honest with you. And that's, I think, another part of the charm of these series, that they consider the Tom Riley character. I guess the term they use in film is an everyman. He's just your average guy and going through these experiences. And I respond as if an average guy would, which that's part of the beauty too of the episodes, you know, the parts of the film series that I've done without a script has been me coming up with, typically on the spot, how I would react if that happened. And that I'm pretty good at. But as far as, I don't know how I would do if a script was presented to me and I'd have to learn the lines that somebody else wrote. But then again, there are a lot of films made in which like Robin Williams, and I'm by no means comparing myself to him, but he was known to ad-lib a ton of stuff in the films he did. And if I was given, who knows? My dad used to have a saying, wish in one hand, shit in the other, see which one gets fuller faster.
Yep.
So if it happened, I wouldn't say no, but it would have to be the right, I would have to believe that I could do it, because I do like to give everything my all.
Now, you were saying you would divulge the budget, but before you say that, how much money would we have to pass you to, like, say, get Sean an audition to be in the next movie?
Well, you're really, Sean, how much did you pay him to push?
Huh?
How much did you pay him to push you? That's the
he gets nothing but a hearty handshake from me. I've given him enough over the years. But I'm just saying I would do it for free. You wouldn't even have to pay me.
Where do you live?
You have to pay him, Sean. Shawnee, you missed it.
I know I have to pay him.
I
get it. I know the score.
Well, where do you live, Sean?
Los Angeles.
Well, how are we going to do that, Paulington?
I'll have to
I've got a plan. Now, he's already familiar with the area because he's been there. We're going to rent a house and stay in the house, and then I'll do my job from that house near Stillmanville Road, and then he'll be on call, and just whenever you need him to show up, 2:00 in the morning, you've got an idea, hey, Sean, get over here. He shows up.
Well, you know, pony up that big budget you were talking about somebody coming up with, and we can film it in LA.
Yeah. Oh, you know, that was my next question is, are you going to take it out of the house to make perhaps like LA, or take like Tom Riley goes on vacation, packs up his suitcase, and accidentally Bad Ben gets in that suitcase and comes with him? Are we going to see that sometime in the future?
I apologize. I'm texting someone to tell them to stop texting me. Because if you've got an Apple computer, as you know, my phone shut off out of respect for the interview, but it still pops up on your, even though I quit Messenger. Your question was, am I going to one day take it out of here?
Yeah, pack up your suitcase and take Ben somewhere besides
That was actually the goal after the first film. But locally, the easiest location to find tends to be a house that's on the market for sale, because if a house isn't selling, people aren't making money. So somebody comes along and says, let me use your house for a week and I'll give you a certain amount of money. And I guarantee I'll have insurance. I guarantee there won't be damage. Well, a lot of people would jump at that, but then they get concerned that somebody may feel the house they're buying is haunted. So, it really has been a little bit of a nightmare. And in fact, I really shouldn't tell this story on the chance the guy listens to this interview or hears this interview one day. But I went into the house and it was a shithole. Okay, when the guy brought me in here, and then he tells me that he has an actual ghost, and I'm sitting here saying, all right, well, this guy's been smoking. And so I walk around the house and he asked me if I felt anything, and I said, and I didn't want to insult him, I said, no, maybe because it's daylight. But we never did put that together. But yeah, the goal is to eventually have Tom Riley become a paranormal investigator full-time that goes to different locations. I would love to do a series that's 30 minutes long in which there's multiple episodes of my character going to locations and dealing with issues.
Well, now I was going to say, I was looking at your IMDb and it says Tom Riley, paranormal investigator, 3 episodes of a TV show. These I have not seen and did not.
It's animated, right?
Right, but there was only 1 episode.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. On IMDb, there's 3 listed: The Angel of Death, The Witch Bitch, and Cape May Chupacabra.
Oh, well, the Witch Bitch is the one I actually did. The other 2 I did portions of, like teasers. But when I've done those animations, I've done them myself by hand. So it's an animation that, for instance, if I did, the average movie length in the Bad Ben series is 90 minutes. If I was to do a 90-minute animation, it would probably take me 2 years if I did it by myself, because it's quite involved to do them. But it's so much fun. And the reason it's fun is, like in The Witch Bitch, I had a castle up on a hill and I had stuff flying around. I had Bad Ben in it flying around, and you can just do anything you want in that sort of in an animation. You can have a building blow up if you want, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
Okay, we only have 10 more minutes on this Zoom interview. I'll let Sean go. And if you would like to keep talking, I can start another Zoom.
I just want to know what ideas you have for future installments.
Well, the funny thing is, not everybody watches the credits of a movie. And to fully understand the beginning of Benign, you have to watch the ending, the credits of Pandemic, because a lot of people see the credits, they shut off. Well, there's a scene during the credits in which, have you seen it, where I'm out of the house and I'm in the woods?
I haven't seen Benign yet.
No, we watched Pandemic though. Yes, we watched.
Oh, yeah, Pandemic. Yeah.
Well, I go out in the woods and I get shot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important to how Benign opens up. But we've got plans for future installments that include zombies. It includes my character, Tom Riley, being in almost like an AA meeting for demons and ghosts and that sort of thing. And then there's an idea I've tossed around for what I would use to conclude the series, which is the film previous, whatever it is, ends, and that's how this film opens up. And then I yell, cut, that's a wrap. And you see people cleaning up the cameras and all, and they refer to my character as Nigel. And we've just wrapped up the last movie, and they all leave. And from doing all these horror films in this house and the Ouija board and trying to conjure things up, I've actually opened up a portal, which has brought, Nigel Bach has opened up a portal, which has brought evil into his house. And he's actually got to deal with it as himself. but who knows? As each one goes along, they change.
Well, in terms of doing a TV show, have you considered doing like a 10-minute YouTube video that is an episode? Because I think that would be a hit. You have 9 movies and then you make like a YouTube every, like, you know, couple of weeks, you put out a 10-minute investigation video. Because I think that's what you should do. Just my own personal opinion. Before
Actually,
like, do a big budget movie.
I've considered everything. In the case of like Tom Riley, Paranormal Investigator, it wouldn't be so much the fixed cameras like have been in the previous films. It would be like me going into a location in which I'm being followed by a camera crew.
Yeah. I mean, you can even do that just on a selfie stick and just
I'll tell you, I get so many young filmmakers that contact me and ask me how I did it. And they say how they one day want to do it and they just need to get some equipment. And I ask them, do you own a phone? Of course you own a phone. I said, you can shoot a film right now. I just watched and it's, I apologize. The name of it slips my mind. But the woman that was the lead in this was the woman that played the queen in the first 2 seasons of The Crown on Netflix. That entire film, done, I think in 2017, was shot on an iPhone. And the quality, my roommate, she just got the newest iPhone. This isn't a commercial for Apple,
No,
but that thing had unbelievable. The quality, not only of the video, but the audio it records and getting rid of the background noise to shoot. So I encourage anybody that wants to do these, they can do it with something they probably have in their hand when they're asking me, and that's their phone.
I want to make a suggestion that you can take or leave, do with it what you want. But ever since I watched The Mandela Effect, the Bad Ben Mandela Effect, and maybe this could even tie in with your idea for the final film, I was wanting to see Tom Riley's from the multiverse team up to fight a greater threat. So maybe Nigel and Tom Riley, if he opens this portal, could team up to fight whatever it is.
Well, and I'll give away a tiny, teeny spoiler, but not the whole bit of it. In Bad Ben Benign, Tom is facing the most powerful demon he's ever faced. And at one point, he's about to give up when some other Toms arrive. That's the only thing I can say.
Yes. Awesome.
Now, is that demon you speak of named Matt Demon?
No.
Man.
I get the biggest kick out of how Jimmy Kimmel is constantly going about. My thanks to Matt Damon, who we ran out of time, couldn't be on the show tonight. But actually, I didn't know this at the time. Like when I Googled demons and I found out that Pazuzu was this huge demon, and Pazuzu is the demon I'm facing in Bad Ben 9, one of them. And it turns out that Pazuzu was the demon in The Exorcist that possessed Reagan. I didn't know that at the time. That was brought up to me as I was filming.
Yeah, that's he's in the like general market, Pazuzu. Anybody can use his likeness because he's been around so long. So
that's right. He's no longer copyrighted.
Yeah, I said you won't face copyright claims from the people that own The Exorcist because Pazuzu is a free agent nowadays.
Well, maybe from a Sumerian, an ancient Sumerian could, you know.
I will tell you, I now have a distributor that I work with. They found me after an article that came out back in January, and their attorney she's a stickler for, and she's just trying to keep me out of trouble and everybody out of trouble. But I've had to go back and cover over anything that references like Star Wars. I have a bunch of Star Wars memorabilia and stuff like that, just so to avoid that. In fact, that's why I picked Twinkle Twinkle Little Star as the music in Bad Ben, because it's so far out of copyright that there would be no issue. And that little music box I had is older than I am. It belonged to my oldest sister.
Really? Oh, fun fact, you can show all the Apple stuff you want. They don't care.
Well, okay.
Apple does not care. they just consider it free advertising. So they don't care. Now your distributor might care, but Apple itself doesn't go after people for showing their logo.
And you can use the entire HP Lovecraft catalog.
Yeah.
If you're ever
That's
looking for
public
more
domain.
demons and monsters. But I kind of like the ones you're coming up with on your own. Now we're almost out of time, as these Zoom meetings have a set time, I think, before you go into, a bigger budget on the Zoom channel. So just real quick before we leave, what is the budget, since you said you were willing to give that up before we leave? I want to know how much money we need to come at you to make the next Bad Ben.
Well, the original Bad Ben, I made for $300.
Wow.
And it would have actually been, that's because I gave some money to my friends, the ones that pulled strings and made stuff happen in the background. But the biggest item for that was the harness I wore that we attached the chain to that dragged me across the floor. And that was $85. And I would have returned that to Home Depot, but it got fake blood on it.
Okay. You know what? The time is up. So we're going to have to say goodbye. I want to say goodbye before the camera runs out. So,
Okay. Well, thank you for having me on.
Oh, it was amazing. This is like the most exciting thing that's happened for all of October. And
I think you need to get out more.
Oh, no, I don't. I'm just going to stay in and watch Bad Ben for the rest of my life. Anyways,
kidding.
We're going to come next to Bad Ben 10. Hopefully we can do this again and chat with you about Bad Ben 10.
It would be my pleasure.
And we'll send Mantooth out there to Stillmanville Road here in 5 minutes, and he'll be at your door just shortly.
Yeah, just answer the door. I'll be there soon.
Okay, I have a Ring doorbell. I'll know it's you.
All right.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Nigel.
All right, thank
bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye.
I'll talk to you later. Bye.